All right, so this is 3D modeling, very basic. This is a program called SketchUp. It's got a very small learning curve, so it's easy to just get in there and learn how to use some of the tools and navigate a virtual environment and make some 3D models, which we can do all sorts of stuff with after we make them. So for this tutorial, we're just going to kind of look at some basic shapes. We're going to actually build some Legos in here. One of the first things I like to do when I get in to the start screen, this is a very basic start screen, is go in to view and go to tool palettes and open my large tool set, which is over here. Now, these tools are pretty much the same as these tools over here. We get a couple more options, but basically, most of the tools we're going to use are right here, which are also just the tools here. So one of the first tools I like to start with is the Orbit tool, just these green and red arrows. Now, I am just moving the cursor along in this virtual environment, but when I click and move, I now can manipulate how I see this three-dimensional world. You see this default image of this woman is a two-dimensional image that gets put into this three-dimensional plane. Well, I'm going to go get my select tool, which is this black arrow. I'm going to highlight her. We don't actually need her for this demo, so I'm going to hit delete, orbit back around. You see there's three lines, and there are three colored lines, and those are going to come in handy when you start moving objects around in here. But to get a sense of it, this green line goes back and forth. This blue line goes up and down. This red line goes left and right. And those kind of give us any kind of object where we would put it inside of it. So think of it of X and Y axis and a Z axis, if you're so inclined. So to make a Lego, I want to get this tool right here. It's the rectangle tool. And you see when I highlight it in one tool palette, it shows it in the other one. So now I'm in the environment, and I like to start at the origin, which is where all three of our lines meet. That gives me a way to kind of keep something precise, and it's a little easier to work with. Now, if I hold the click and I start just moving my mouse, there's a line that comes down the middle, a dotted line that shows me I've made a square. So I let go of the mouse, and now I can see that that was nothing near a square. So now I have a square. It's two-dimensional, made on that plane, and I'm going to go to another tool, push pull. When I go over the plane, it highlights. It's predicting that I want to push or pull on this surface, and I do. So I'm holding it down and I'm pulling it up. So I should have a cube-like shape right now. Now this is going to be the basis of the Legos that I want to make. So if I wanted to make lots of different size Legos with lots of different nubs on top that have, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, 5 pieces, I want to make them all from the same way. Now, one way to do this would be to get this line, and I go through here, and on this line tool, I find the midpoint, which is right here, and that red dot turns blue when I'm in the exact middle. I draw a line down the middle. I do it on the other side. Now I got 4 quadrants on the top of this cube. If I wanted to, I could draw a nub here, a nub here, a nub here, and a nub here, but it wouldn't be very precise. What I would actually like to do is go to the middle, which is called an endpoint here, click and drag, and now I've got a circle that's right in the middle of this nub. This is the erase tool. It erases lines. Now that I got all those lines erased, I've got the outline for my nub on top of the Lego. Push pull, and I am going to push pull that up. I've got a very basic shape right there. Now I like a little bit of texture on top of these, so I'm going to use a tool called Offset. And you can see it's highlighting the surface here. So I'm going to click and drag. Now I've got a circle that's perfectly aligned with the circle on the outside of it. Now I'm going to go back to push pull. I'm going to push that down a little bit just to give a little bit of texture on top. Now the bottom, I haven't done anything with that yet. I'm going to use that same offset tool. Now I've got a basic outline inside of that same push pull. Now I've got one single Lego piece. Looks pretty accurate. If I go back to my select tool, I am able to select a couple different ways. One way is to click on a surface, and I can select the surface. Second one is to click on a line, and I will select that line. I can double click, which will select the lines and surface, or I can triple click and it'll select the whole object. Now with this is triple clicked, I can go to my paint tool, pick any number of colors I want, and then deselect, and we see that I've got a little purple Lego. If I hit Command Z, that undoes what I just did. Now I want to actually make some other Legos out of this. So I'm going to go to my select, I'm going to triple click, hit Command C, that's copy, then Command V, that's paste. I'm just moving it right there with the mouse. When I click it one more time, it'll stay where I've put it. So that's the click. Now, we have made a Lego with two nubs that are more or less equally proportioned. And I need to think digitally here instead of just pasting this the whole time. I can make any number of shapes, but I need to do it smarter. So if I copy these two instead of that single one, then paste them again, I can make a long one. I'm going to hit Command Z. I could make a square. Command Z again. I'm going to go ahead and make a long one. So this is a 4-piece. Get the select tool and I click outside of it. I now have 4 pieces. Now when I've pasted these together, there's a couple extra lines that I don't really need anymore. So I'm going to grab my eraser and just holding it down, I select those lines. Now I know what you're thinking. The bottoms of these Legos don't actually match the way real Legos work or look like. So I'm going to show you one interesting thing. When I've got open spaces inside like this, and I draw a line between them, it will cover up that surface. And now I can go in with my erase tool and erase all these lines. And to erase a lot of the lines at one time, I just held it down and I was moving the cursor around the lines. Sometimes you could grab a lot of extra lines that you're not meaning to erase when you do that. So now I got that. This goes with the same offset. Push pull. And we have got a very basic 4-nub skinny Lego.